Welcome back, Chevra. It's exciting to be back in this Chabura discussing the Hashkafa of Vacation. Today we're going to be speaking about how to walk that tightrope safely, making sure that your vacation is not dangerous physically, obviously, but in terms of spiritually, and enables us to be able to achieve our goals, both in terms of rejuvenation and also enabling us to be able to become closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, like we said. Before we jump in, we just want to once again thank our sponsor for this series, Prime Handyman, serving both Beit Shemesh and the Jerusalem area. Will help you to make your home functional and beautiful with a full range of home repair services. Just call or WhatsApp our very own Aaron Dahan to schedule your appointment. His details you'll be able to find in the description of this class. Okay guys, so before we jump into today's topic, let's just do a review of what we've been exploring and excavating together. And where we started off this topic, right, this very much needed topic about the Hashkafa of Vacation, we realized that this question of how we relate to vacation is really an old question. It's an ancient question, something that Yiddishkeit has dealt with for a long time. And we saw this very fascinating conversation which took place around this topic between those who asked Rabbi Yeshua, right? And this you have in your Mara Makomos. We just brought a few of the core Mara Makomos for this review today. That we find Charlotte Rabbi Yeshua Mahu Shilamid Adam Espeno Yavanis. Right? What is the din? Right? Is it permissible for a person to teach their son Greek? And there Rabbi Yeshua gives this very candid answer to them. Right? Amar Lahem Yilamdenu B'Shah She'enu Lo Yoim V'Lo Laila. Yeah, you can go ahead and you can teach him Greek, but make sure to do it at a time which is not day and that's not night. Dichtiv, because as we find a pasuk right in the Navi, Ve'agitza bo yomim v'layla, right, that a person needs to be involved in the limud of Torah both day and nighttime. So then the kickback question, right, was, okay, right, if we're going to understand that in a very literal way, so then what about the fact, V'atani Rabbi Yishmael, that we have this teaching from Rabbi Yishmael that we've discussed in other chaburas previously, right, that Rabbi Yishmael says, U'bacharta b'chaim, right, that when it says U'bacharta b'chaim, when Moshe Rabbeinu says, I put before you life and death, and you should choose life, that zu umnus, it means that a person should choose a profession, that a person should choose a trade, right, that a person should go out to work. How is a person going to be able to go and work? How is a person going to be able to teach their son a trade, right, when it's not day and when it's not night, if we need to be learning every second? And what we saw from this Yerushalmi and Peah, which at that point within the conversation, right, Rabbi Yeshua says, okay. Right, Rabbi Yeshua says, I understand, right? There's a different reason specifically why one shouldn't teach their son Greek in certain circumstances. But what's taking place in this conversation is a fundamental question about how do we relate, right, as frum Jews to free time. The concept of having free time. And Rabbi Yeshua is giving over in a very strong way, right, is that before you think that there's something which is called free time, we have to understand that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility towards Limud Torah. And especially for those of us that may be working in the professionals or whatever capacity, right, you're involved in Parnasa every single day, when we have time off from work, we have these given vacation days, what would we think should be the first thing on our mind that we should do? The first place that we should run, right? Not to Florida, not to California, maybe not even to Eretz Yisrael. Where should a person go? Straight to the Beis Medrash. Straight to the Beis Medrash, like Rabbi Shimon. Straight to the cave. And we saw Marim which speak about the fact that these common language, these common phrases that we use today, right? Chofesh, right? Chofesh being a vacation, right? Chufsha, vacation, right? When we look at the way that they're described, right? Tiulim, right? Going on trips. We saw a Maharal, right? That speaks about the fact that this person who's free, right? Which we saw the definitions that are given, right? Classically today for what vacation is, right? Or what leisure is. It seems to be an energy of just no responsibility. I believe that was even some of the language we saw. Free from the burden of responsibilities. Just to be. And we saw from the Maharal that this idea of freedom from responsibility is not looked at in a positive light. So to the lashon of those people that are Tayalin, right? We saw from the Rambam, not in a positive light. And what we moved to at the point within this Chabura was to understand that really, right, what we're trying to understand underneath this question of vacation and what type of vacation I'm going to go on, right, and how I'm spending vacation is really a more fundamental question, right, about how we relate to leisure time, right, which is called today, right? It's a language which is used today, which is leisure time. And what we saw by exploring, right, fascinating Mamari Chazal, is that we saw that, yes, the Torah gives us a positive outlook on both areas of, let's just call two categories of leisure. We have the aspect of recreation, we have the aspect of paying attention to those things which fascinate us, right? We saw this Gemara, Yerushalmi, Kiddushin, right, a teaching brought down, Rav Chizkiah, Rav Kohen, B'Shem Rav, right, Asnid Adam, right, Litain Din V'Cheshbon, Achama Sharata Eino V'Lo Achal, that a person's going to have to, after 120 years, give an accounting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right, give an accounting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu about those things that a person was drawn towards, right, those fascinations, a certain type of cuisine, right, a certain location that he was very fascinated, that he always wanted to visit, right, certain activities that he's drawn towards, and he didn't go out and experience them. Now, why didn't he go out and experience them? Perhaps he had good reasons for not going out and experiencing them. But there's going to have to be a din and cheshbon, which is given because we saw that the Torah is giving a very clear message. Hashem wants me, Hashem wants you, Hashem wants each of us. He wants you to take your fascination seriously. Take it seriously. They weren't just picked up from some place. HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed us in such a way. And so too as well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to take care of our needs in a very serious way. He wants us to pay attention to our physical needs, to pay attention, to do check-ins. How am I feeling right now? How am I feeling right now physically? How am I feeling? You're falling asleep. Okay, how are you feeling? Not because of the shir, right? How are you feeling right now? Check in. How am I feeling emotionally? Right? This is the aleph maze of being a student of Rabbi Gerzi, the Pilzno Beis Medrash. We're constantly aware of our state of being, physically, emotionally, intellectually. How am I feeling right now? What is my body? If I am able to become a practitioner, right, of awareness, right, and mindfulness, what is my body communicating to me right now? Right? What are my emotions communicating to me right now? And what we find is that yes, the Torah tells us we should pay attention to this. The Torah tells us that we need to pay attention to our physical health. We should invest time, right? We saw Chachamim, right, that when they came to Eretz Yisrael, would go to Chamei Tiberia. There's a spot today called Chamei Tiberia. I don't think that was the Chamei Tiberia that they went to, perhaps. But you have, even outside of Tiberia, they have a place, right, the hot springs. There I think it's more natural, right? In Eretz Yisrael, they bring groups there, right? They heard it's very, very beautiful. But the Chachamim went to Chamei Tiberia. Did the Chachamim have better things to do when they came to Eretz Yisrael? Run to Yerushalayim. Or perhaps historically they couldn't go to Yerushalayim those days. But I'm sure they had other things to do. But they went to Chamei Tiberia because they just went through a difficult journey. And they needed to give their bodies the rejuvenation and the nutrition and the nurturing that they needed in order to be able to function optimally. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us that we should be paying attention to this. And we heard from Reb Gerzi some amazing, right, stories, fascinating stories of Gedolim, which even the Gedolim, even the people that we can't even comprehend how much they appreciated every moment of their time. Every moment of their time were dedicating time as they felt needed towards this. We saw that in order to achieve our goal of what we want for our rejuvenation, right, if we're taking a vacation, right, whatever whatever word you like to use, is that we need to do it well. We need to, besides for, looking into good flights, and finding good tour guides, and making sure that we can find out, the mahadran and kosher restaurants, right, and making sure that we can, go for a night tour to be able to see the lake. Besides for all of that, spend time before understanding, what do I need to achieve through this vacation that I'm taking? And that's done by becoming aware of, where am I experiencing burnout right now? Right? What's the root of this exhaustion that I'm experiencing from? Where is it coming from? Is it because I'm not around people enough? Or is it because I'm too much around people? Right? Is it because I'm not sleeping enough? Right? Is it because I've just spent the last 6 months, working on a very, very tight schedule, and I just need to I just need to be able to have wake up a bit later, be able to just, lounge around. And if I need that, and my vacation is all about schedule, even though I may not be at work, right, and I may not have my boss wagging his finger, but I'm going to be looking at my spouse and looking at my kids, or like, come on, Abba, come on, Ima, let's go, and be like, you're going to feel like you're at work again. You're going to feel like you're at work again. So we need to understand, where is the root of my burnout coming from? And what is it that will help me, right? Not someone else. What is it that will help me? Not what the advertisement says is going to help me. What is it that will help me to be able to achieve that goal? Right? Is it going to be fishing? Whether is it going to be mountain climbing, right? Is it going to be sitting at a pool, right? Is it going to be sitting in a canoe, right? Is it going to be, swinging from one of those like gliding ropes? Is it going to be just, sitting in your garden and reading a newspaper, right? Under a pergola from Aaron Dahan, of course. But what is it that you need? And then, not only is it, what do I need, right? But if you're going on vacation with other people, right? Whether you're right now on vacation with other people and you're like, I should have gone on vacation by myself, but we can't always do that, right? We can't always do that. Sometimes maybe you should. Sometimes you should, if you can. But if you're on vacation with other people, right? We saw this marmakom, right? We saw this medrash in Bamidbar, in Parshas Pinchas, where Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, he says to Hashem, what does it mean to be a leader? What does it mean to be able to lead? And if you're a father, if you're a mother, you're a leader of your family. Right? What does it mean to be a leader? Ribono shel olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Gali v'yado lefanecha, you know Hashem, you created them. You know, shedaito l'kol echad ve'echad einan doimin zeh lezeh, that everyone's different. Everyone has a different experience. So to be a leader, Moshe Rabbeinu says, is choose someone who's able to tolerate, to be able to deeply understand what are the needs of other people, and to understand that I may need to tolerate, right, the complexities. Right, for one kid, he wants to go on the fast boat. For him, that's a vacation. Another kid, he wants to go on the slow boat. That for him is a vacation. Right, and suddenly if you find yourself on vacation and you're like, okay, what are we going to do today? And you have 7 different opinions, right, of what you're going to do. And then you yourself want to do something, your spouse wants to do something else. Okay, that's an avodah rabbah. You need to be a manik. And we have to, if we want to achieve our goal, not just for ourselves, but also to be able to give that rejuvenation to our spouses, to be able to give that rejuvenation to our children, right, who may need that as well, right, because the whole entire year they're also in a strict schedule, and they may be burning out from school, they may be burning out from their regular day-to-day schedule, and they need to experience something else. We need to learn how to be able to understand everyone's needs, and to be able to design our vacation time in a way that everyone is able to, on some level, even though it may not be the whole entire time, be able to experience what is it for them that's going to rejuvenate them. We then said we're going to turn it up a notch, right? When we entered into the realm, right, of what we like to do over here in Work Inspired, right, is to change something into an opportunity for elevation, an opportunity to be able to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And we saw the teaching of the Rambam, right, of how is it that a person is able to develop Avos Hashem? How does a person develop closeness with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And the Rambam speaks at length, right? The Rambam speaks at length of a person, right, who's nisbaidin, a person who spends the time contemplating about, right, nifloyis habare, right, about the wondrous creation that Kadosh Baruch Hu created, and therefore, if you run one of these programs, I know you didn't reach out to me yet about sponsorship, but don't worry, we'll give you another opportunity. But whatever it is, right, for different people that enables them to be able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For some people it might be water sports, right, going out to sea. I don't believe we mentioned it, but if we did, it's always good to say again, right? There's the Gemara in Kiddushin, right, that speaks about how the sailors, right, how the majority of the sailors were people that became Hasidim. Why did they become Hasidim? They became Hasidim because of the fact that when they were out there in the sea, right, they were able to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Bria. And just being out there, right, and being able to experience, right, the vastness of the oceans is something which, on a day-to-day basis, as this was their parnasa, helped them to become greater people in their avodas Hashem. So whether or not for you it's going out in water, right, or for you, it might be going out, to the deserts, right, or going out to a forest, right, or whatever it is, right, that helps you to be able to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We saw that can be done through friends, it can be done through music, it can be done through food. HaKadosh Baruch Hu designed within the Bria a way for us, right, to be able to channel all of these experiences, right, which so many people, and this is always, right, the distinction, right, Mika Amcha Yisrael, right, that with the distinction that there's so many people that are using these same exact activities for bad. So many people that are using these activities, right, chas v'shalom, to be involved in averos, right, to cause destruction, right, to be able to cause yurida, to be able to cause a spiritual deterioration. And we, right, have the charge to be able to go into these same activities, once again, each person guided by their internal GPS of that which they're attracted to, and to be able to use it, not just as not just as a bidi eved, but as a way for us to be able to become even more and more connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the question is, Chevra, what about the other side? What about the anti-vacationers? You're giving them a hard time. They've already left the shir, the anti-vacationers. They're like, they opened up it's a very big ammunition. So the truth is that those people on the other side, they don't need to say much. They just need to say two words. If they were here, you don't have any of them left in the Chabura, but if they were here, they would say two words. They wouldn't even say it. They would just open up a chumash. And those two words are Kedoshim to you. Kedoshim to you. What do I mean, Kedoshim to you? That you should be holy, I should be holy. Right? We're Jews, we're holy. What does it mean, Kedoshim to you? So many of you might be familiar, right, when this parsha of Kedoshim rolls around, right, that we have a machlokes. We have a machlokes of what Kedoshim to you is speaking about. And the Ramban, and I say this with tremendous amount of appreciation, because many years ago, right, there was a Rebbe of mine that explained this Ramban in a way that really changed my life. Really changed my life, understanding this Ramban. And the Ramban telling us is that when we speak about this mitzvah of Kedoshim to you, right, which we understand as some level of precious, some level of staying away from something, it's not talking about averos. To see the words of the Ramban inside, where you have it in front of you, Va'inyan ki haTorah hizhira ba'arayos u'machalim ha'asurim. The Torah gave us warnings. The Torah told us to stay away from forbidden relationships, u'v'machalim ha'asurim, and forbidden foods. Ve'tira habia ish be'ishtoi va'achilas habasar v'hayayin. And the Torah permitted us, right, to be involved in intimacy, right, relationships that are done in a proper way, right, and eating food, kosher wine. Imken yimatzei bal hatayva makom liushatuv bezimas ishtoi aynashav harbais b'dais b'sibui yayin b'zuzodei basar lamai v'yadaber kirtzoinu v'chol ha'nevelos Shalai husker iser zebetayra. Then what could happen, says the Ramban, is that you can have, we're smart people, and a person could come along and say, okay, all those things that are usher, those things I'm going to stay away from. But what I'm going to do is you have a person who's a Baal Taiva, right? He's driven by his taivas, right? Not from coming from a good place. And he could be so saturated with being involved in sexuality, right? Being involved in indulgence when it comes to food, indulgence when it comes to drinking. And he says that a person can be involved in everything in gashmius. We don't have a specific isser within the Torah that says that you can't do this. It doesn't say you're not allowed to eat it. It doesn't say you're not allowed to engage in that. Where does it say that in the Torah? But says the Ramban, right, these famous words, right, that we hear every year from someone when it comes to Parshas Kedoshim, V'hinei yiyeh navel b'reshus haTorah. And the Ramban says is what's going to happen is that a person is going to become, I'm not sure the best way to translate navel, but a despicable person, a low life. He's a low life. He's someone that you wouldn't want your kids to hang out with, you wouldn't want your children to marry, right? He's somebody, he's mamish involved in all the gashmius, he's totally absorbed by secular culture. He's living the life, right? That a non-Jew would look at him and say, okay, he looks exactly like me. The difference is that he has a lump something on his head, and he has some fringes that are sticking out of his shirt, right? And he has food that has a stamp on it. Another b'reshus haTorah. And the Ramban says that this is what the Torah is afraid of. The Torah is afraid of the fact that with all of the isurim, right, that a person can end up missing the point. And missing the point means is that he lives a life where all of his values are anti-Torah values, right? He's not thinking about a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? He's not thinking about tikkun ha'olam. He's not thinking about spirituality. He's not thinking about personal growth. He's not thinking about chesed. He's thinking about indulgence. But he's going to do that in a way that has the kosher food, the kosher hotel, right? The kosher cruise. Everything is going to be done that has all the hechsherim, all the externals. But the Ramban's saying he's going to be missing the point. So therefore, after we have all of the specific external isurim that were given, comes the Torah comes to tell us, Deishin Tiyu is telling us that you should, sometimes in the right context, separate yourself from even those things that are permissible. Because if you don't, you can miss the point. You can miss the point. This is what the Ramban's speaking about. I remember seeing in the Sefer that when the first Ger Rebbe, the Chidush Rebbe, when he became the Rebbe, the first thing he did was he got up on a bench in the Beis Medrash and he gave a clap, and he said that the Yetzer Hara is interested in one thing. The Yetzer Hara is interested in getting a person to miss the Iker. He doesn't mind if he holds on to the tafel. He doesn't mind if he holds on to all the fringe side issues. As long as a person misses the Iker, that's what the Yetzer Hara is going after. And therefore he gave a scream. Make sure that you don't get mixed up between the Iker, what's most important, and what's tafel. So therefore, any of you guys are still listening, the anti-vacationers, you have to have resilience to listen through this series. Just joking around. We love them. We're both trying to help to be able to come to emes. They're waving their Kedoshim Tiyu of their Rambans, but they don't even need to wave it. Because all they need to do is to take out the magazines and to wave and to be able to show what's happened. What's happened that we find this reality within the culture that we live in, right? To see that we see advertisements, we see programs that are being run, right? That when you look at it and when you see it, it's possible for a person to say, okay, Nava b'reshus haTorah, I perish. Okay, this is what's going on. How can it be? This is what a Yid is meant to be doing. right? To have all-you-can-eat bars and all-you-can-eat sushi 24/7, everything on demand. Is this really the way that somebody who's focused on Torah and Avodas Hashem is meant to be doing? Even if it has a good hashkacha, even if it has some a daf yomi in the morning, even if it has some educational programming for the kids and having Hasidic singers that are coming, is this really what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted? Or is this what the Ramban is speaking about? This is a bit stark, even for me. All right, so what's the emes? What's the emes? The emes is that this is what we were talking about, Chevra. This is what Rabbi Gerzi was sharing. Right? Is it vacating? Right? We're not about vacating, or is it about rejuvenating? And the answer lies in a similar yesod to everything that we've shared throughout this whole chabura when we spoke about work and when we spoke about career and we spoke about money. You can come with a taina and you can say, career, that's gaiva, money, that's gashmius, leads you to averis. But what we saw when we went through each one of these topics, when we went through the topic of how I feel about my work, when we went through the topic, right, of what type of financial lifestyle do I want to live, right? The yesod that we spoke about is that the problem is not about the money, and the problem is not about the job, right? And the problem is not right about the comfortable house that you live in. The problem is not about the vacation. The problem is not about the 5-star hotel. That's not the problem. Right? We said that whenever it comes to our approach towards something, we have the sor meira and we have the aseh tov. And just like we shared then when we spoke about money and we spoke about work, is that if a person has a strong enough aseh tov, if a person has direction, right, you have your values, you understand who you are, you have a direction in life, right, you have a mentor, you have things that you're passionate about, so then you can have that vacation. You can go to that place, you can go on that program, and it won't derail you. If anything, like we said, when done well, it will empower you. It won't just rejuvenate you. It could inspire you. And you can come back even higher and closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu than you were before you left. But if you're a person that doesn't have those values, you're a person that doesn't have direction in your life, you're somebody that doesn't have a mentor, you're somebody that if I stop you on the street and say, what are you living for? What are your core values? What's your family flag? What's your own way that you connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What do you want to achieve? And you're like, I'll get back to you in 3 days. Or I'm not even sure how to actually answer that question, if we're honest with ourselves. So such a person, even if he goes to the 1-star hotel, right, even if he just goes camping, right, even if he can't take a vacation, he'll find a way. Such a person like that, even small things, not extravagant programs, will also derail that person. Because the issue is not the vacation, it's not the program. The question is about us. Right, this yesod we saw, sor meira v'aseh tov. Right, and so often, right, the emphasis, the message which is given over is sor meira, sor meira, sor meira, sor meira, sor meira. We need to stay away from this, and we need to stay away from that, and we need to stay away from this, and we need to stay away from that. That's dangerous. That's going to pull us off the derech. That's going to make us forget about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All of these sor meira. And derech of the Baal Shem Tov, sor meira, stop focusing so much on that ra. Sor meira, stop focusing so much on that ra. Aseh tov. Of course we need to stay away from things that are dangerous, or we're going to speak about it, right? Things that are not according to halacha. But if we become people that have a strong enough aseh tov, we become, like we spoke about, being a vayelech Jew. Right? Vayetze Yaakov vayelech Harona. Right? A vayelech Jew. Right? There are people that are driven. So therefore, when it comes to this point of the year, right, which we want to take that vacation, our family needs a vacation, we're not worried, but rather we have a direction, we understand ourselves, we have guidance, and we know how we're going to utilize this time. Not the chas v'shalom, it's going to be a rida, but in a way that it's going to bring us to an aliyah, it's going to bring us higher and higher. So what's the derech? Just to speak out some practical eitzes for us, right? For those of you that are on vacation already, for those of you who will be going on vacation, right, over the next coming weeks, right? Like Rabbi Gerzi mentioned, right? There's no vacating. We always need to have a structure. We have to create a schedule for ourselves, right? We always have to make sure we have an emphasis on limud Torah, right? To have a kviyas of Torah that needs to be, right? The Torah doesn't tell us that when we go on vacation, there's no kviyas of Torah. Now, how much? That depends. Depends what you're doing. Depends what you're doing. You know, I've been through stages of my life where I was very excited about learning. You know, and had to be on not sure why I'm sharing this, but okay, had to be on some type of a trip. It was a family trip, or it could be somewhere where I really wasn't so interested in being. You know, walking around with like the pocket chumash. You know the pocket chumash, the pocket mishnayos. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, a pocket chumash, a pocket mishnayos. But sometimes it's just not in place. You know, it's just like everyone's having this moment. You know, and they're like looking around, and you're just sitting there in your chumash. You know, so remember the purpose of what vacation's for. Remember what your goal is, right? If your goal is to be able to spend quality time with your spouse, quality time with your kids, to be able to have that type of experience, be present, right? Don't be, sitting there, just listening to a shir in your earphones, right? And looking at a sefer. If what's needed from you right now is for you to be able to be present with what's going on, either for other people who you're on vacation with or for yourself. For yourself, you're already going out. You're already dedicating the time. Be with it. Be with it. But at the same time, have for yourself a schedule. Minyan, davening, limud Torah. To have gdarim in place. Right? We have to have a gdarim in place. We have to understand. What is it, right, that we need, right? And what will enable us for us to be able to achieve it, and perhaps to choose the option that doesn't have those nisyonos, that doesn't have those channels, that doesn't have those challenges. So it could be after you go through this process that we've spoken about of planning your vacation, and you understand what your needs are, and then you see, okay, what are my options? Okay, so I can go to this hotel, right? I can go on this program, I can go to this location. Which vacation is going to enable me to be able to achieve my goal, while also staying away from potentially challenging situations. It's something I think about after every Sukkot and Pesach. Bahab. For those of you who are Bahabers, people are Bahabers, not Bahabers. One of the reasons why we do Bahab is because there's an understanding, right, that after Chag, right, and people are out and about, that it could be challenging. It could be challenging. We may have been put into challenging situations, right, and even people, right, that had good intentions, right, may have been exposed, right, to certain environments, seen certain things, come into contact with certain situations, right, which could cause an avera. So we need to be conscious of this. And by doing this, guys, what we can do is that we can really approach this whole entire topic, right, of vacation in a way which is healthy. And that's really the goal, right? Really the goal is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be healthy people. Right, and healthy people means being healthy in our ruchnius, being healthy in our gashmius, right, being healthy in our emotions, right, and therefore this whole entire area of what's called downtime is really a gift. It's a gift that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to us, and we should thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you haven't done it yet, and we're at the end of this chabur, thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we find chachma in the Torah that gives us guidance. It gives us guidance. This is a topic that so many people, right, right, there's so many people when it comes to this area, right, they can behave when they're at work and they have responsibilities, but when it comes to vacation, when it comes to becoming free of responsibilities, it causes so much destruction, right? It causes so much destruction. And Kadosh Baruch Hu, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, Hashem, that you gave us a Yerushalmi, that you gave us a Medrash, that you gave us a Chazal, you gave us a Gemara. Right, you gave us Sifrei Chasidus, you gave us Sifrei Musar that speak about this, because Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be healthy, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be filled, and B'ezras Hashem, we should all have Siyata D'Shmai, whichever way you're taking this vacation, right, wherever you're going to be traveling, or, once again, thanks to Reb Aaron Dahan, quality service you could depend on, right, even if your vacation this year is just sitting in your garden, with that beautiful pergola, you should be able to connect with a very revitalizing experience. Have a good day.